From our nation's capital, 2 weeks from right now, they'll be playing the Big East Tournament Championship game up in New York City. This evening, we're at Capital One Arena, where the 21st ranked team in the land has come to D.C., the Marquette Golden Eagles. They ride some momentum in, and they pay a visit tonight to the Georgetown Hoyas. These teams in different places in the league standings. Marquette trying to join Creighton at 13-5. James fall to Xavier earlier today. Golden Eagles have UConn at UConn up next. This is a big one for them in Georgetown. They're next to at home as they try to find some momentum here while being a bit undermanned. And that's what leads us to tonight, everybody. I'm John Fanta. He is Tyreek Turner. Welcome to our nation's capital. A Marquette team that has been so steady nationally in the top 25 again. For Georgetown, it's how do we embark on life without Thomas Sorber?
Yeah, tell the two teams. And Sorber is such a big part, probably the best rookie in the league along with McNeely at UConn. Without him, they don't have the paint presence that Georgetown depends on. They don't have the rim protection. So a different team defensively. This Marquette team has Cam Jones, and he is a big-time guard, probably the best overall guard in the league of the Big East. And then on the other side, who stepped up for Georgetown? Micah Peavy has been fantastic and playing as well as any player in college in the month of February. So both these guys, Cam Jones from Marquette, the lefty guard, and then Micah Peavy, the 6'8 swingman, 2-3, playing at a high level. Both these teams rely on these guys for their leadership on both sides of the ball.
Peavy was as good as any player in the country in the month of February. It is his senior night as well as we turn to our starting lineups. For Marquette, Tyreek, we know about Cam Jones being the superstar. We know Steve.
Another dimension because he's a five-man, but he's really a stretch five. Perimeter is more where he's comfortable, and when he picks and pops, he is a mismatch for opposing teams because you got to guard him as a screener, and he can stretch the floor like he did in his last game, probably his best overall offensive game.
For Ed Cooley in year 2 at the helm, you talk about Georgetown. 4 combined Big East wins, the 3 previous years combined. They're already at 7. They get Marquette tonight. They get Villanova on Tuesday night, also here on Peacock. And for Peavy, he's on a mission. You could sense today that he understands that without Sorber, his role has to increase that much more. He's coming off a 25-point performance.
Let's be clear. There's no coincidence in his uptick in production and the fact that Sorber is out. They're definitely connected. He has stepped up to the challenge of being that alpha leader that Georgetown needs him to be.
On the tip, it will belong to Marquette. Our officials, Mike Roberts, Brian O'Connell, Mike Palau. And as we open up action, it bears noting, Marquette, led by Shaka Smart, they're unbeaten in the Smart era against Georgetown. They've won the last 7 meetings.
Well, trust me, Ed Cooley knows that. The players may not know it, but Ed Cooley knows it, and they're going to start out in the zone. Coach Cooley told us he was going to mix his defense up. They start out in a high 2-3, trying to protect the paint.
This is what they used in the first meeting between these two teams. Joplin is off on his opening attempt, and Micah Peavy brings in the rebound. In the first meeting, Georgetown, I'll turn it over here on the opening possession, they built a 14-point lead, did the Hoyas, back on January the 7th. Marquette would rally with a big second half and find a way to an 8-point victory.
Well, they took care of the ball, and we talked to Coach Cooley this morning. He said the number one thing he wants to see tonight versus this Marquette team is good shot selection, taking care of the ball, limiting their turnovers. Not a good start for the Hoyas with their first possession. They cough it up.
That first meeting, Chase Ross was a hero for Marquette with 27. David Joplin with an evergreen light.
Well, he is one of those guys that can get hot quick, and Marquette had great spacing there. They run a 5-out kind of ball screen motion, and Cam Jones, one of the best assist leaders in the Big East.
That's what's interesting, Tyreek, because not only did Marquette make 17 threes against Providence, they took a program record 41 in the game.
Well, they have the personnel to do that, and they have 3 or 4 guys at all times that are green light shooters that have that freedom to knock it down or let it go.
Drew Fielder is long on his first attempt. A battle for the rebound, and it's Jones.
Tempo is so important for both these teams. Cam Jones is so good at controlling that with his ability to create for himself and his teammates.
44 consecutive double-figure performances for Cam Jones. Travel by Joplin.
Let's see for Georgetown who can help Micah Peavy. I mean, Peavy is going to do what he does. As you take a look at Shaka Smart, getting his team organized, done such a great job Shaka has with this Marquette team in his fourth season. Has only won 96 games in 4 seasons. And Ed Cooley, we talked to him this morning, John. He has made a jump. In his second year at Georgetown, they are better, and everyone knows it. And that's what you want to do. When you come to a program and you're building a program like Ed Cooley is, you want to make incremental progress. And in year 2, to be 16-12, have 7 Big East wins, I call that a nice jump from the second year.
Absolutely. Only 2 last year, only 4 combined, the 3 previous. And meanwhile, for Smart, he's 43-14 in his last 57 league games. Epps shut down by Jones.
Great job by Jones. Going vertical, hands up high, not getting beat off the dribble.
Stevie Mitchell was fouled by Mack.
Stevie Mitchell, this is a 4-year guard. Started pretty much all of his last 3 years, and he is a candidate for Defensive Player of the Year. I think he should be. Oh, looks like Stevie Mitchell got his jersey ripped. I'm looking at that right. Look at it. Look at the front of his jersey. It's ripped open.
You are correct.
They're going to ask him to turn that. He's going to have to replace that. I mean, that's
wow.
You can't stay on the court with that. But Mitchell, so important to this team because he knows his role. He knows when he's going to get his shots. His game is all about defensive energy, doing the little things, rebounding. He's an X-factor kind of guy that is a star in his role.
It is so symbolic that Stevie Mitchell's jersey is ripped because that's the way he plays.
You're just spot on. And he's a scrappy, hard-nosed guy. He probably doesn't even know his jersey's ripped.
Here's Mack with 9 on the timer. With a dish to Fielder and fouled by Gold.
Well, when you get the ball to the second or third side, the way the Hoyas did, that ball reversal, you're going to find gaps and openings on the back line, and a nice thread-the-needle pass by Mack, and Felder going to the line for 2.
Drew Fielder, a sophomore, was a highly touted recruit, now being relied upon to play a big role for Georgetown in March with Thomas Sorber done for the year. Sorber back on the bench tonight, had surgery earlier this week. Everything went okay, and now they'll see what's in store for his future as he's in some first-round draft projections. He'll test the waters and certainly go through the process of whatever that entails. But Fielder had 17 and 9 last week against Providence, a big game.
Well, he's a talent. I mean, he had some flashes last year. Great block by Burks.
Mack with a delivery to Burks, and another Hoya turnover. Their second.
And Mack, not a great angle there to get that ball in. He had the right thought, but one more dribble to the right would have given him a little bit more of a direct angle to complete that pass. And Mack is a talented guard, point guard for the Hoyas, but he's got to take care of the ball. He's got to get them into their offense.
Marquette turns it over for a third time as Burks was active.
Burks showing that versatility on the defensive end. He can impact the game. Length, athleticism, quickness. Great deflection there.
Georgetown top 50 in the country in defensive efficiency. Peavy off the heel. Joplin fighting for it. It'll stay with Georgetown because of the effort of Burks.
That's right. And that's the activity of Burks, who is by far the best athlete on this Hoya team. And, he's all over the rim, keeps possessions alive. His activity at 6'9" is really important.
Burks. Jordan Burks has started hot. He entered the night with only 9 made threes on the year.
Good sign for Burks, and he is a rhythm guy like a lot of players. That's not normally the first thing you think about with him, shooting the three, but he can knock it down when he gets the time to get his feet set.
Now comes up with the rebound. No shortage of potential for Burks, the transfer from Kentucky. Fielder plays it.
The Hoyas want to play with pace, and nobody better than Malik Marquette pushing the tempo. Great job getting the ball up the court quick and looking for one of his more sure-handed hands guys in Fielder.
Jones. How crafty is Cam Jones?
You know, he's so smooth, and he's a hard lefty kind of player. That's his preferred side. He's a strong lefty driver, but he is so good at getting the ball up high off the glass.
Peavy looking for Burks. In and out of his hands for a third Hoya turnover.
Up close for the Hoyas has been Burks and Fielder making it happen. The versatility on the three game and then around the rim, finishing at a high clip.
How about the crew at Capital One Arena? They made the changeover after the Lightning defeating the Capitals 3-1 earlier today. From hockey to hoops, and we want to shout out our crew, our Peacock crew, for turning everything around as well. They were working very, very hard for us, and so we thank all those people behind the scenes. And Stevie Mitchell, he's wearing a new jersey, Tyreek Turner.
Yeah, why is that? Why would he switch his jersey? Well, we're going to find out right now. You see that rip as he is trying to attack the ball, and after it went up to the rim, and he didn't even know his jersey was ripped, I don't think, until the timeout. And he gets a fresh jersey with a different number. This young man is so important to the core identity, the toughness of this Marquette team. It's more than just numbers. It's his leadership, his stability, his consistency, particularly on the defensive end. Probably the best on-the-ball defender that I've seen this year.
And Gold knocks it down, coming off a big night.
That's just good offense. A pick and pop, and that's where he's a really dangerous player because he doesn't roll much. He's going to pop and knock down those threes. That's the versatility we're talking about.
Here's Peavy. Jaden Epps catch and shoots. Short. Gold helping his teammates get that rebound. Shaka Smart said for Ben Gold, he's always had that ability, but it's been a confidence thing for him this season, and the performance against Providence was exactly what the doctor ordered.
Yeah, it's just about being consistent, and he's got to take those shots because it keeps the defense honest, and he is more than capable of knocking down multiple threes in a game.
Cam Jones had that altered by Peavy. Gold can't stick it back, but Peavy was all over number one in Navy.
And Peavy loves that matchup, and we'll talk about that throughout this game. As Matt knocks down a tough three ball with the hand in his face.
And Ben Gold answers right away.
Cam Jones is always looking ahead, does a great job of finding Gold, and Gold sprinted the court, beat everyone down, and poor transition defense by the Hoyas.
Peavy.
Good trap by Gold, and that was very impactful with his length to get that deflection, causing a steal, and that's the third deflection for Marquette. Their goal is to get 32 per game.
All part of their defensive numbers that they stack together. And elite offense counted in the foul with a flex for Joplin.
Nice short roll by Joplin, and Cam Jones with another assist. Cam is so dangerous in the ball screen. We'll watch it here. You know, he extends it with the extra dribble and then a nice pocket pass to the roller. Joplin for the and one opportunity. Here's Gold running the floor. More than just a three-point shooter, he can be a rim runner as well. Impacting the game early.
As Royce Parham, the freshman, checks in for Gold, who just gave Marquette some really good minutes to start. By the way, Cam Jones, you just summed it up with him as a distributor. He entered the night with 167 assists to just 50 turnovers.
Well, Shaka told us, and that's incredible. That's an incredible stat. Shaka told us, you and I, at Big East Media Day earlier this year, before the season started, that the most impressive part of Cam Jones' game that people don't know about is his passing. And you're going to find out this year, and boy, did we.
Foul on Joplin going for the rebound. Joplin just scored his 1,200th career point. That is what you just said sums it up. Take a look at Cam Jones nationally, 3.34 in assist to turnover ratio. We knew he could score it, but with Tyler Kolek gone, he's had to take on that role, and has he ever.
Well, he can make every pass with either hand, and for a guy with a usage rate as high as him to have an assist to turnover ratio like that, very impressive, and a good defensive possession right there for Marquette with the pressure by Parham. Watch this ball pressure by Parham, getting up in Peavy, making him uncomfortable, caused a turnover.
Sharp start for the Golden Eagles, who have been strong, particularly in this league in March the last couple of years. Burke's got a piece of that. A delivery down to Parham, the freshman, stripped, and Marquette will keep it with 14. I say that because this is a Marquette program, Tyreek Turner, at the last 2 years has been sitting in the Big East Tournament Championship game. They won it 2 years ago. Last year they get there and they fall to Connecticut, but Shaka Smart has made it a habit to be winning in this league at the highest level.
Well, he's one of the best coaches in the country, point blank, and he has proven that. Great job defensively, a 5-second violation caused by the Hoyas. And, you know, they've had to do it a lot differently this year, John, Marquette. They don't have as much offensive talent as they did last year, losing Tyler Kolek. And, you know, that point guard leadership is so important. Cam Jones has moved over to the primary point guard role. And talking to Shaka Smart, he told us that they have changed their identity, not changed it, but they're focused more on the defensive end. And, you know, he knows that they have to be a defensive team first. They want to create offense off their defense. Man-to-man principles, no middle, and multiple efforts is something that he talked about a lot this morning in their practice.
Top 25 defense and among the best teams in the country in turnover margin at +6 as Peavy couldn't hit. Shot clock didn't reset. Peavy got it off with 1 on the timer and was fouled.
Great job by Peavy. We talked about him earlier. He's playing as well as anyone in the league. You know, in the month of February, he's been on a tear, averaging 24 points.
24 points, 6.5 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 steals per game. Unbelievable numbers.
You know, Ed Cooley told us that Peavy told him in their last matchup when Cam Jones started to get hot. He said, "Coach, I got Ed Cooley and I'm not switching on anything. I'm just going to guard him straight up. I don't want to switch. I want him one-on-one." And he impacted that game and really made it tough for Cam Jones with his length at 6'8".
Leading the country in February with close to 25 points per game. Not to mention, he played a full 40 minutes in 5 games in February. They don't take him out of the game as Chase Ross connects. What could he mean to Marquette?
Well, he's another wing that can play on or off the ball. 6'5", got good size. He's tough as nails. And he gives them some scoring punch to take some pressure off of Jones, and more than capable of being a wingman there.
12 on the shot clock. Give Jones now 4 assists. Peavy short.
Great job defensively by the perimeter guys on Marquette. Going over every ball screen and making it hard and corralling Peavy to make him play in the crowd and not give him any isolation opportunities.
Jones short, Matt corrals. Malik Mack with trying to knife through, but then a foul. Foul on Norman, and we've got a timeout. The 21st ranked Marquette Golden Eagles trying to match Creighton in the Big East standings.
Cam Jones, a senior point guard, off to a really good start. He set the tone tonight with his passing, his playmaking. He's just making the right reads, drawing 2 defenders, and finding the open man. He's got 4 assists on 5 of their field goals so far. And he's the one that stirs the drink here because he can draw 2 defenders and usually makes the right decision. Really good player because he can score it and he can also play make it. His leadership so important for this Marquette team.
Shaka Smart saying he is just an elite leader who everybody benefits off of, doing whatever it takes to win.
And he keeps them loose. When we saw him today in practice, clapping, getting the energy up, making sure they were having fun, enjoying the moment, but also a level of seriousness, knowing that they're on the road and they got a business trip tonight.
And he co-hosts the K1 and Stewie Show, a podcast that's on all the platforms you get your podcasts on with Stevie Mitchell.
You should be a guest on that.
Are you going to book or?
I'm going to look into it.
Okay,
I'll talk to Cam after the game, actually.
4 on the shot clock. Delivery to Williams, who is fouled.
Well, Mack has done a pretty good job early on for Georgetown of getting into the paint and finding his guys here off the penetration. Caleb Williams, a freshman from the local area, Sidwell Friends High School, right here in D.C. Ed Cooley high on this young man, calls him a glue guy with a lot of upside, still learning about what it takes to be a good player in the Big East Conference, but super talented and always important to keep a local young man in town.
D.C. SAA tournament champion, state champions, invitational champ. He won at the high school level a ton and was regarded as the glue guy all throughout the D.C. high school ranks.
He was a star in that role and led to a championship. My good friend Eric Singletary, the head coach of Sidwell Friends, very high on Caleb Williams and what he brought to that program.
How about Peavy on Joplin?
Well, he embraces leadership. I mean, he embraces defense. He's a two-way player. Peavy. Georgetown quick to the ball there.
Here's Epps with Mack, Fielder, Williams, and Peavy for the Hoyas. Epps from way downtown. It's off, and Mitchell, who ironically is wearing 33 against Georgetown. You know what that number means in this program.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. The great Pat Ewing. And Mitchell, Cam Jones out of the game. Cam's going to come in the game now, but with Cam Jones out of the game, Stevie Mitchell moves over to the point guard role and so good at getting this team organized. This Marquette team has lost their last 3 games on the road, John. Tonight is an opportunity for them to fix that.
That's the task at hand for this program, which had gone through some struggles before the win over Providence, which they won in resounding fashion by 30, their second highest margin of victory at a Big East game since they joined the conference in 2005-06. That a get-right game, now trying to sustain it. Joplin got the friendly bounce.
That's just a veteran move. He used Williams' leverage against him and caught him leaning and just kind of faded away for a nice 5-foot chippy. And Marquette drops into his zone as well. 1-2-2 down into a flat 2-3.
Fielder was fouled from behind by Jones. Jones bumped him. Ross.
Just watch Joplin here. Just use Caleb Williams. It's got it kind of off balance with the shot fake, and Joplin just the little fade away. That's that experience right there, knowing how to use angles with a nice touch.
Illegal screen by Fielder.
They're going to call that on Williams, I think.
Oh, yes. They are. So on the other side, here it is.
I said he leaned into Mitchell. Mitchell kind of sold the call as well.
Love the usage of experience because that is Marquette to a T. They're one of just 2 squads in college basketball, them and St. Mary's, to feature the same starting lineup all season. In addition to that, the last 3 years, they've had 8 total players start a game for them. 3 of those 8 are in the NBA.
And on top of that, they have not been a big user of the portal. And Cam Jones is just dominating this game with his passing, his playmaking. And it's all coming off the dribble penetration of him getting in the paint, drawing two defenders, and finding an open man. In that case, it was Mitchell.
As smooth as a podcast toss from Jones to Mitchell. Now Ross, he's a riser. Timeout Georgetown. Marquette is shining on a Saturday night.
Golden Eagles getting out in transition, but it's fueled off their defense. Getting out in the passing lane, scoring, and causing havoc, forcing turnovers by the Hoyas. It's a little two-man action here, the shot fake, the dribble drive action between him and Mitchell. These two guys know how to play off each other and find the open man. And then in the passing lane, Ross does what he does, disruptive in the backcourt. And they are having some fun out here on the road.
A 13-2 Golden Eagles run, and it all starts with the defensive end of the floor. Shaka Smart said, when you lose Tyler Kolek and Oso Ighodaro, you better be built to guard. And they track all of these defensive traits in metrics.
Yeah, and it's interesting. He went through a whole list of them. Some that kind of stand out are points per possession. Dot hand percentage needs to be 70% or better. That's the contesting arm. If you're a right-hand shooter using the left hand to contest, that's called the dot hand. Needs to be 70% or better. 32 deflections, 8 kills, which is a stop. Defensive rebounds percentage needs to be 70% or better. And in their last game versus Providence, they accomplished every defensive metric they needed. And that's why they won the game. And so far, they're off to a good start with 8 deflections for the Golden Eagles.
They have a quarter of their game total. In a game earlier this year where they had over 50. It is just ingrained in their DNA. Peavy can't snap Georgetown out of the run. Offensive rebound to Malik Mack. He's short. And Gold, how about Gold's activity early on?
He's playing good ball, and he's active on both ends of the court. That's what you want to see.
Ross off this time. Epps with the rebound. What does Georgetown need to do?
Well, you know, they've got to get Peavy going, and Peavy really thrives in ISO action, and Marquette's done a good job of kind of taking him out of the game. But when the Hoyas can get a couple ball reversals, they've had some opportunities as Burke misses a chippy there.
Georgetown hasn't scored in 3 minutes. Joplin off the front of the rim. Burke's back in, and he's fouled by Ross. Chase Ross just committed his second foul. And we've got a timeout as Burks gets helped up. Marquette off to a red-hot start.
Good shots. Good shots. Open shots are good shots. They'll fall. Again, they're getting us on turnovers. They're getting us on turnovers. Remember, Joplin's not passing. He hasn't made one pass today. If he gets it, he's trying to score. That's his role. Just understand that when we switch on him. But keep taking open good shots. They'll fall. They'll fall.
Okay. When you talk about his message there, the turnovers are killing him, and he's right. Marquette has got 13 points off of turnovers, and that was all he talked about this morning to us, John, was taking care of the ball. I mean, you see the last 4 seasons, and look at the jump, right? From 9 wins to 16 wins in 1 year and 7 conference wins this year versus 2 last year. He is showing the signs of building a program back up to a dominant level. You got to be patient. I know people hate that word, but Ed Cooley is a builder of programs. He did it at Providence. He's going to do it at Georgetown. I have full confidence. But in year 2, he still has high expectations, and that's why he's talking about the turnovers.
And they do have a top 5 youngest time major roster in America. When you think about this program in today's climate of college basketball, how much are they built from an NIL standpoint, from Cooley's brand, to be able to have some roster continuity?
Well, that's huge. And you know, he talked about that this morning as well. Continuity, you know, having a core group of leaders, you know, guys like Epps and Mathis and Gold did not call it, but he's happy it went in. And Gold showing signs of another strong back-to-back performance after 17 points. But back to Cooley, he is certainly encouraged and excited about the direction of this program. And he's got a good core group of guys. Caleb Williams, a good freshman, Mack, and Epps to start.
And he hopes Sorber. As Mitchell stood up and fouled by Caleb Williams. I like how sure you were. Because everybody said, did he call it? Did he call it? You said, no, he didn't.
He didn't, but, you know, I think a lot of people look at bank shots as luck or as like you have to call it.
Yeah.
You don't have to call it because you still have to line it up. It still has to be kind of lined up perfectly to go in. And I think a lot of guys that make bank shots, people consider it luck. It's not. It's skill. And Ben Gold probably didn't call it still, but he has the touch and the rhythm to knock down threes pretty easily. Look at that move right there. Cam Jones controlling the game.
Jones with a crossover. Oh, Mr. Jones, you are All-American worthy.
And he doesn't get sped up. He's going at his own pace, and Marquette doing a lot of damage in the paint. 14-2 points in the paint.
The Golden Eagles looking much more like themselves this week, and now they're in a zone.
Yep, it's the second time we've seen the zone. It's a kind of a 1-2-2. Active on the wings, high hands. Man-to-man principles when the ball is on the wing.
Shot clock's at 3. Corner, Epps. Bingo.
Good offense by the Hoyas, and they got the open shot because they got a good ball reversal, made the defense shift, and Epps had a wide open look.
Joplin glides in.
Joplin, Ed Cooley said he doesn't pass the ball much, and he's right. But Joplin his role on this team is to get buckets. Nice job with the drive.
Fielder tries, he's way off, and Tyreek, you're feeling it. The absence of Thomas Sorber right now because Marquette's already at 29 points with 6 minutes still to go in the first half. They're getting whatever they want right now. Lowry could not cash in.
There's no question. This is a totally different team without Sorber, their best player, their most talented player. And other guys have had to step up, but it's not been easy. Peavy has been the main guy, not tonight, but over the last month.
Epps, that's a difficult shot.
Contested 3, step back. Playing right into Marquette's hands.
Goal is golden. Timeout and Cooley. It is Ben's week. 3 for 3 from downtown. Cam Jones already has 8 dishes. We'll take a quick TO ourselves. In LA, welcome to the West Coast. Suits LA, tomorrow, 9 Eastern, 8 Central on NBC and Peacock. Hello, Mr. Gold. Shaka Smart called him a game changer when he gets going. We're watching it right now.
Well, he's just in a nice rhythm. He's looking for his shot. He's getting great looks. And most importantly, he's knocking them down with confidence. There's no hesitation. And again, he's the kind of guy that gives them a deep ball threat. He's got good footwork, and he's also been active around the rim in terms of his activity. So I like the way he's playing a full game tonight. And a second consecutive strong performance by Ben Gold is a good sign for Marquette.
On the NBA Global Academy in Canberra, Australia, the Academy's first product from New Zealand to sign with an NCAA Division I program.
Marquette's still in that zone, and they're in this zone because they want to keep Georgetown out of the paint, and they want to make them a perimeter team and still have good ball pressure on the wings.
Shot clock's down to 1. It's flying towards us. The Marquette defense has come to play. They've held Georgetown to 4 of 18 from the floor and make it 8 turnovers.
Well, they're active hands. They're moving their feet. They're talking. They're locked in. And you could tell this morning that they had a defensive mindset coming into this game. And conversely, Georgetown seems a little kind of stuck right now. They don't have a rhythm. They're not shooting the ball great, and they've turned the ball over at a high clip. So not the start you want to have if you're Ed Cooley.
Obviously, Thomas Sorber rolled out for the season with foot surgery earlier this week. Just throwing a damper on potential momentum this month as Owens heads to the basket. Shot clock obviously didn't reset. Ball never hit the rim. It's Cam Jones. Jones already has 8 assists. His career high is 11. Talking about a 7-pass possession here. Strip by Peavy. Shot clock is at 2.
Good hands by Peavy. Cam tried to do the James Harden, swing your arms up and try to draw the foul. Peavy didn't bite. 2 seconds left. They got to get something quick.
Owens to Joplin. David Joplin is short. It'll be Hoya basketball.
And Greg Cooley, you got to stop the bleeding, and obviously you want to score, but you got to get some stops. And I think the most important thing here is getting something off of a couple ball reversals or a paint touch rather than one-on-one action. Give yourself a chance.
Curtis Williams just checked in. Kick to Epps. Epps still can't find it. Joplin's there on the glass, but taken right back by Curtis Williams, and a foul by Jones. Taking us to a timeout. The Golden Eagles have shown thus far in D.C. why they're one of the best in the Big East. Ahmed, happy March. Look forward to it, and there it is, the Big East standings. The St. John's Red Storm, our Big East outright regular season champions for the first time since 1985.
It's a proud moment. I mean, I'm a former Johnny, so I'm going to say unbiased.
You are?
Yeah, I am. I'm proud. I'm happy. And it's just been a dream kind of turnaround season for the Red Storm in terms of making the jump from last year to this year. What Coach Pitino's done, bringing the Garden back, sold out arenas, 19,800 people, packed house every game. The way they're doing it, the fit, R.J. Lewis, Kadari Richmond, Zuby Ejiofor, and I think R.J. Lewis today locked up player of the year in the Big East, if you ask me.
How has Rick Pitino done it so quickly?
Well, he's got instant credibility. He's done it before, and he's so relatable. He's so intense. He's a stickler for details. And I feel like the team, they play a little bit afraid of him, not in a bad way, but in a healthy way. They don't want to let him down because they know how much he means, how much he cares to this team and this program. And, you know, he's gotten the best out of them. Kadari Richmond is a great example. This guy is as good a player as he's coached, and had a slow start, but he got him going, trusted him, and now he's thriving as one of the best players in the league. So it's just a combination of greatness. Rick Pitino is clearly proven that he is one of the all-time greats.
Mack with the left hand, no. The follow doesn't go. Meanwhile, for Georgetown, they only have 4 made field goals in the first half. That Gold, hammer time, he's got 13.
That's the second rim run by Gold, and he's beat everyone up the court and had 2 uncontested dunks. Georgetown is not organized defensively. They're not getting back on defense, and I think they're letting their offense, their lack of offense, affect their defense, and that's not a good sign.
The Hoyas have just 1 made field goal inside the three-point arc. Only 4 in the first half. Gold has 5 by himself. Shot clock at 2. This is a prayer. Mack with the board, heaves. It is ugly right now for Ed Cooley's team.
And Marquette is locked in defensively. They are contesting every shot. They're getting deflections. They're in the passing range. And that's the 9th assist for Cam Jones, and his wingman Stevie Mitchell. Not too bad either. Another big shot.
9 assists in the first 18 minutes of the game.
I think he might break that record.
His career high is 11. And now a turnover by Mack into the hands of Joplin. Ed Cooley has already used 2 timeouts.
Yeah, it's rough. This is a rough outing. This is not what he envisioned today.
Oh, my goodness. Cam Jones. Long this time. Had that gone.
He's just too comfortable, Cam is. He's just getting wherever he wants.
And a foul. That'll send Curtis Williams to the free throw line.
Ben Gold continues to impact this game with his activity. Watch him sprint the floor. And nobody even identifies him or slows him down. Just running the floor hard. Unselfish play of Marquette. Joplin there with his first assist.
It's Curtis Williams. Louisville transfer steps to the line.
Yeah, 6'6" sophomore from Detroit. Impressed in consecutive games earlier this season versus top 25 teams, and one of them was Marquette and UConn.
You said it, the ball's on a string right now for Jones. On the back down, Parham kicks. Hamilton, who's in there with Joplin. Now Joplin attacking, Epps stripped him, and that went off Joplin's leg.
Yeah, Epps did a good job of moving his feet and staying with Joplin, not getting beat. Got the nice deflection off of Joplin's leg.
Tyreek, it may seem small because it's an 18-point game, but you just feel like if Georgetown's going to do anything in this ball game, they could use some sort of momentum in the last minute of the half, something to go their way.
Yeah, they need it. They need to go into the half with some kind of encouragement.
A lot of one-on-one. Curtis Williams, 4 for 25.
It's been that kind of game, and Marquette has been locked in defensively, and you have to give them credit. No blow-bys. Everything's been contested, and Cam Jones is just in a rhythm right now.
Jones, what a half for Cam Jones. Absolute masterclass with half a dozen points, 9 assists to just 1 giveaway.
He's been the best player on the court, and it's not even close. His leadership, his playmaking, he makes the game easier for his team. And this Euro right here with the right hand, I think he's one of the more skilled guards in the country because he can finish with either hand. He can make any pass with either hand. And he's got good size at 6'4", 6'5". Some people ask if he's a point guard or a 2 guard. He's just a ball guard. That's what he is. And look at these numbers right here. 9 assists.
Wow.
Georgetown has 3 assists.
Man, that's eye-opening. That is an eye-opening graphic. And you know what? I do think we're in such a what have you done for me lately world where it's like, okay, what was your last? Take a look at our Tuesday slate on Peacock with Purdue welcoming in Rutgers. It's a 3-game slate. You know, you bring it up of Jones. He had gotten off to such a scalding hot start, Tyreek.
Yep.
That then the last month has featured some struggles, but if we're talking about All-American honors and different positional awards, the Hoop Hall awards, when you look at the whole season of work, he's got to be on those radars.
100%. I mean, you said it. People have short memories, and it's hard to kind of remember that, you know, Marquette started out the season 8-0, and that was because Cam Jones was, at that time, the best guard in the country. And he's not far off now, but it's just conference play has kind of clouded some of that because they've had some stumbles. But Cam is as good a guard as you'll see in the country. And we talked about Georgetown getting some kind of momentum. It's a small thing, but Curtis Williams has come in the game and impacted this game. His energy, his athleticism. Only plays about 13 minutes a game, but he is a guy that can make things happen, and he's doing that tonight.
Well, needed that. Georgetown's season low in the first half this year, 21 against St. John's. And Williams will ensure that doesn't match that. 4.7 seconds. It's in the hands of number 1. Back to Ross with 2. Ross to goal. And they're going to run out of time. And that'll end a dominant first 20 minutes by the Marquette Golden Eagles.
Yeah, and it's the ball movement, the assists, forcing turnovers, playing a complete first half. Marquette is up 17 on the road, playing good ball in March.
And they have been outstanding when leading at the half this season. After this break, it's the Xfinity Halftime Report.
right, as Cam Jones adds another 2. Ahmed Fareed back in studio with Jordan Cornette and Matt McCall. We have lost John Fanta and Tariq Turner. We don't know where they are. They left.
Fanta's probably signing some autographs.
No, they're right there. We just have lost communication with their microphones, so we'll take you up until we get them back on comms. But, Jordan?
Well, this could be an interesting turn if you're going to get anything going, as Micah Peavy gets a basket one way, but then just the transit, getting back, communicating defensively, what could have been a positive activating Peavy becomes just lackadaisical defense to give up an easy one.
Or just stop the ball. You know, the first possession of the second half, defensively, they give up a layup, and then that's just a transition basket for Marquette. Georgetown has to have more pride right now.
And this is a ball-hawking defense from Marquette that is going to try and turn them over any which way possible. And, of course, on any rebound, they're looking to run here because transition defense has been horrible from Georgetown.
There it is again with Gold. At a career-high 17 last game. Tip-in is good. So we saw Cam Jones with an assist while we were waiting for John and Tariq. He's got 10 assists in the game now 45 straight games with 10 or more points. So a double-double at this point for Cam Jones as that lead balloons to 21 for Marquette.
Even on that last possession, you know, for Georgetown on the offensive end of the floor, they allow Marquette to get out on the break. They miss a three-point shot. Georgetown's cross-match trying to get their matchups, and they give up an offensive rebound. It goes back to the offensive end of the floor, taking good shots and taking care of the basketball.
And, Coach, you see this so often with 18 and 22-year-olds. I guess expand that window now with COVID years and transfer portals, 18 to 24-year-olds. But when shots aren't falling, they're all of a sudden they're neglecting the defensive effort, and it starts to be a snowball of negativity around the game, and you start to get wide margin leads building like you are for Marquette right now.
All right, to the relief of everyone, not that you weren't doing a great job, guys. Well done. We got John Fanta and Tariq Turner back in Washington, D.C. Take it away, guys.
Thank you guys for letting us head to the popcorn stand at Capital One Arena. It was a longer line than expected. To be honest, we've never sounded better, Tariq Turner.
You know what? It was a nice break, and you guys did a great job back in Stanford holding down the fort. We appreciate it.
Matt, long as we've started this second half, and Burks trying to battle for it with Cam Jones coming out. Within, here come the Golden Eagles. Joplin with one hand. Hammer time for DJ.
And Marquette is looking like they did at the beginning of the year. They're sharing the ball. They're locked in defensively. And Cam Jones is just all over this game with his tempo, his passing, and his shot making. 10 assists on the night, 1 away from his career high.
Jaden Epps is fouled by Stevie Mitchell, and we've got a timeout. David Joplin, a high flyer for the Golden Eagles.
Everything going right for Marquette, and this man right here, Joplin, is a sniper, playmaker, and a scorer, filling that role to perfection.
To Washington, D.C., where it has been all Marquette. It's all in the eyes of David Joplin.
You can learn a lot from reading somebody's eyes, and Joplin, with the look of determination, intensity, and excitement.
That's scary, man.
He doesn't get too many breakaway dunks, so he was excited to get that one and went well over the top. And the senior having a huge game tonight on the road.
You know, earlier this year, Marquette, they did a Mother's Night where all the moms were the stars of the show.
Yes, I saw it. It was awesome.
David's mother did the national anthem. She does a bunch of different random acts of kindness for the team. Yeah, so he's a superstar.
And he's local, too.
Yes.
Milwaukee native. And I thought that was a great. You know, this team, Shaka Smart, has built a culture of this camaraderie between the parents, the players, the way they practice, the way they spend time in the offseason, the way they work and practice. It's a unique culture here, and I think it's a direct correlation to them winning games. It's just so connected, so united. And it's a testament to Shaka Smart and what he's built here.
They win by 30 earlier this week against Providence. And right now up by 25 and getting another stop. Meanwhile, on the other side, Georgetown has shot just 7 for 34. As Mulready supplied some effort to tie up possession arrow with Marquette.
Well, everybody says, you know, come March, you want to be peaking and you want to be playing at your best. And, you know, Marquette has had some stumbles along the way. You know, they lost their last 3 road games before this game. And then they come back and beat a Providence team previous to this. And you know, I think this is a team with Cam Jones at the helm and the way everyone buys into their role that can certainly make a run in March. And after tonight, they play St. John's in their last home game, and then it's Big East tournament time. And, you know, Marquette very familiar with playing in that last game Saturday night at MSG.
They've now made 7 triples. They have regained that shooting touch. Bottom 3 in the league in three-point shooting conference play until that breakout performance against Providence. Joplin with a foul. Now a 12-1 run. And just total domination. And here's the other thing. You talk about peaking at the right time. How about building depth? Because whether it's Zayd Lowry or Trey Norman, guys that are back with this program, you bring in Royce Parham, who's a freshman. Shaka Smart says he just keeps making progress. They formed a bit of a bench, reserve shooting that can come in and supply some minutes.
Well, that's so important because when you get to the tournament, you really need, in most cases, if Williams makes a 3-ball, you know, you really need 8 guys minimum. You got to have 3 guys off the bench that give you something. Not necessarily points, but give you positive minutes. And most of the good teams, last year was UConn, last 2 years was UConn, they had a bench. They had 3 guys that come off the bench, sometimes 4. Hassan Diarra was the main guy off the bench last year for UConn.
Now it's Terrace Reed. He had a huge day today for Connecticut as they won at Providence.
Yes, he did. And he is really a starter off the bench. But, you know, it's all about depth. And, you know, most good championship caliber teams need, you know, 2 or 3 guys minimum to give them something.
By the way, Cam Jones has now matched his career high with 11 assists. Accompanying that, Tyreek, with just 1 turnover.
It's a fantastic performance by Jones.
Now here's Mack. Georgetown just with 4 2-point makes in the game.
Well, everything has been hard for them. There's been no easy baskets. Everything is contested, and Williams might be one of the few positives for the Warriors tonight. He's come in and given them a lift with his scoring off the bench.
He's got a dozen. That one short. Williams now with the rebound. Alley-oop attempt out of the reach of Burks.
Yeah, that was way up in the air. But Curtis Williams, 6'6" sophomore from Detroit, transferred from Louisville, with a nice looking stroke.
First double-figure performance for him since January the 17th. Marquette, they led by 17 at the half. Projected 6th seed right now in our field of 68 forecast. Driving towards the rim. That one slides in for Trey Norman, his first bucket.
Playing off of 2 feet, that's a great example of why it's so effective. Trey Norman, strong center of gravity, good patience. He gathered, but he played off of 2, and that gave him the balance to get up and elevate. Strong move for the sophomore from Boston.
As Burks heads to the line. Who will survive and who will die? The Emmy-winning competition show, The Traitors, is back for a new season. Stream new episodes Thursdays, only on Peacock. John Fanta, Tyreek Turner with you from Washington as things are taking shape in the Big East standings, but there still are some unsolved things because Marquette win tonight. They're matched up with Creighton at 13-5 in the standings. The big one for the Golden Eagles comes next when they are at Connecticut from Gamble Pavilion.
Well, yeah, that's certainly a matchup that we will be locked in on to watch, and two projected tournament teams in the Huskies and the Golden Eagles as Ross continues to get to the rim. And that's one of the big changes with no Sorber in the lineup. But we'll look at the standings first. You look at Creighton and Marquette at the 2 and 3 spot, and then UConn right behind them at 4. I think those top 4 teams are the teams you can expect to go to the tournament, with St. John's likely getting, what kind of seed are we looking at, Johnny?
They could be in position for a 3 seed at 26-4. They are hovering right around that 3 line according to our Feeling the 68 bracketology forecasters. Xavier got a big win earlier over Creighton, and in dominant fashion. We'll talk more about that forecast as March has arrived. Marquette was ready for it. Let's go around the Big East with the headlines of this loaded Saturday. 5-game day in the league. Xavier crushed Creighton. Huge for the Musketeers and Large Hopes. Eric Dixon, he's got back-to-back 30-plus point games, now 4 on the season. UConn, Terrace Reed was a beast with 24 and 18. And St. John's, first time that they're outright Big East regular season champs in 40 years. That 85 season, yeah, they landed in the Final Four. Our NCAA tournament projections, according to the field of 68, this Marquette team up to the 5 line. If you remember, when the committee selected their early top 16, they said Marquette and Michigan State at the time were the first teams out of that. Creighton, UConn on the 8 line. Xavier helped themselves today.
They did. That was the game of all the games today in the Big East that I think most people were locked in on just because of the implications. And Xavier with a convincing win versus Creighton, and now they get a step closer to being possibly that 15 in the Big East to go to the tournament, and they are helping themselves big time with a couple games left in the season.
Creighton will be at Seton Hall next. Xavier, they close it out with Butler and Providence. A trip to Hinkle Fieldhouse. As you know, Tyreek, when you're on the bubble, you can't follow up the big win with any sort of a letdown. So it's critical that they take that short road trip. You see their resume. Now, the Circle would be the 1-8 quad 1 record. Even though they've beaten Connecticut and Creighton, they still only have the 1 quad 1 win over this Marquette team.
Yeah, and that's something that you have to include in their overall profile. But, you know, the net ranking is okay, 52. And 19 and 10 is good, but 21 and 10 sounds a lot better. As TV knocks down a big corner 3.
Aren't you setting things up on a platter there? I'm glad you did, partner, because no blemishes on that Xavier resume. The last 71 Big East teams, as Parham slams it home, the last 71 teams in this conference who have won at least 21 regular season games have been selected to the NCAA tournament.
21 sounds awfully good. And if you win 21 games in the Big East Conference, not 20, but 21, even in a year that may be not as loaded in terms of tournament caliber teams, you make a good case to get in, and I think they will if they get 21. I think they'll be first 4 in, as you said earlier.
Last 4 in.
Yeah, last 4 in.
Parham with a slam. Yeah, 21 is blackjack.
21 is a good number.
It sure is.
It is a good number. It looks and sounds a lot better, even though it's 1 more than 20.
You remember your 21st birthday?
21 is a symbolic number for a lot of reasons, but you know, you're legal at that point, right?
Yeah. There's Micah Peavy with the putback.
Peavy's going to keep playing hard, and this is an experienced graduate transfer. I think he's got a chance to play at the next level. He's 6'8", can guard, and when we talked to Shaka Smart, he said he reminds him of Stephon Castle last year, who's thriving in the NBA right now, the former UConn Husky. But he has a similar strength and body type as Castle, maybe a little taller, actually.
Jones off, putbacks there for Parham. Royce Parham, they really love his upside as he continues on as a Golden Eagle.
He's got a great body, 6'8", from Pittsburgh, and can rebound it. Pretty good defender.
He's out of Western Reserve Academy.
He's just another guy that knows his role, and you know, that's part of the Shaka Smart culture. You know, identifying what you're on the court for and just doing that to perfection. He really hones in on that and gets the guys to embrace what their role is.
This is PV. Like a PV connects. We haven't seen enough of that, but that's what he can do.
Well, you know, a lot of it, you got to give Marquette credit. They knew that he is a heavy isolation right-hand driver, and they have made it tough for him and made him play in the crowd. The thing about PV, though, is he will find a way to impact this game, and he has in his second half with 10 points in the second half. Or 9 in the second half.
Marquette up by 20. They've outscored Georgetown in the paint, 38-16. PV trying to spark some sort of a surge in the Hoyas. He'll head back to the free throw line.
He's a tough matchup because he's constantly moving. He attacks. He does not give the defense a break. He's got good change of direction. Strong. He's got a knack for scoring the ball.
Well, he gets recruited by Chris Beard to Texas Tech. He transfers to TCU to Jamie Dixon, and now coming to D.C. to Georgetown. And Ed Cooley just said, what a joy to work with, because he wants to get better. He's already a terrific player. And Tyreek, now NBA scouts are noticing with Micah Peavy.
You have to. You can't help to notice, especially based on the February he's had, averaging 24 points. And then on top of that, he wants to guard the opposing team's best player. He's a two-way guy, not just a one-way offensive player.
Back to the Hoyas. Time now for Big Shots, brought to you by Xfinity. A little bit of history for Micah Peavy.
Yeah, that is serious history. Look at that stat line. Second player in the last 22 seasons to average 20-plus points, 6-plus rebounds, 5-plus assists, and 3 steals. He's certainly a top 10 player in the Big East, and I'd be surprised if he's not an all-Big East selection as he continues to make plays and get this crowd a little bit more excited about this Hoya team.
It's down to 16, and Shaka Smart's seen enough of the PV show. Georgetown with a little bit of life on a Saturday night.
We got to demonstrate maturity right now. Down there and down here. Right? They're not doing anything different. It's pick and roll and one-on-one. It's the same thing they did in the first half. We held them 22 points. All right? But we're not up in the ball. We get split in the coverage. We're not stepping up to take away the basket. We're not punishing, rotating punish. When your teammate steps up, we're just lazy. Lazy. Is that who you want to be? No. You said leave no doubt. So let's leave no doubt. Yeah. And then down here,
The one thing that coaches have to do is remind you what got you here, and that's what Shaka did right there. He said, look, they're running the same stuff they ran in the first half, Georgetown is. Only difference is they have gotten complacent. He called it lazy, and he just has to remind his guys, look, this is not a different team, but our approach has changed, and we've gotten a little bit too comfortable, and You know, Georgetown is playing good basketball. A lot of it has to do with Peavy being more aggressive, and Georgetown has found something here with Peavy playing through him on a 15-4 run in this second half. The Hoyas are.
Largest they led was 28. That's a bump by Burks. When you're up by 28 points, 5 minutes and 8 seconds into the second half, it's a natural thing to let your foot off for a moment.
Yeah, it is. And coaches are sticklers for details, and that's no different for Shaka or Ed Cooley. But you have a responsibility as a leader to make sure you point out what's going on and why it's happening and fix it. And let's see if Marquette can get back on their defensive mojo.
That's a travel by Joplin.
He shuffled his feet. Marquette up 16. A lot of time left.
Tonight, don't miss an all-new Saturday Night Live with host Shane Gillis and musical guest Tate McRae. All-new SNL tonight. Watch it live, coast to coast on NBC and Peacock. Yes, fun fact, Chris Farley, SNL legend, Marquette alumnus, Golden Eagles alumni on hand in Washington, D.C. Shaka Smart's team, well, what he's done with this program, he took over for Steve Wojciechowski, he installed a new culture, and in the first year of his tenure, they exceeded expectations. In year two, how about a regular season championship, a #2 seed? They didn't make the second week, and they got tripped up by Tom Izzo's Spartans. But last year, first Sweet 16 trip in over a decade.
Yeah, he's just done a phenomenal job. It was a phenomenal hire. You know, 2023 was unanimous Big East Coach of the Year, and he is, Ed Cooley is getting his guys fired up here. And Shaka Smart doesn't look concerned, but he does look a little bit agitated with the drop-off and intensity, but this is Big East hoops. And, going back to Shaka, he has really reinvigorated Milwaukee, Marquette, and just the whole university in terms of his leadership, his togetherness approach. He gets everyone to buy in. Everyone is involved, from the managers to the assistants to the walk-ons. And he makes everyone feel a part of the success. And you can tell that it starts from the top, and he's gotten a lot of deserved credit for turning this program around.
They blitz goal, jump ball. It belongs to the Hoyas. And Ed Cooley is asking his crowd to get into the game right now.
And they are responding. Momentum is such a powerful thing in sports, and it can help you or it can hurt you. Right now, it's helping the Hoyas, and Marquette is in a little bit of a dilemma here because they are not guarding the ball. Straight line drive right there by Matt, who gets in the paint. And this is a totally different momentum here that the Hoyas have.
9-0 run. Marquette needs an answer. Chase Ross. Peavy's draped on him. Into the hands of Mitchell with 10. Mitchell kicks to Joplin. Joplin driving in and taking the foul on Caleb Williams.
And that's what you do when you need a basket. You don't settle. And Joplin got the angle. Quick first step. He had a freshman guarding him, and he knew that. He just muscled him and went straight to his chest and drew the foul.
Foul line. Caleb Williams, his fourth foul. That's a senior driving on a freshman.
Exactly. Recognizing it and taking advantage of it.
79% free throw shooter hits the first. And here's a look back moments ago with Ed Cooley to his crowd.
They love Ed Cooley in D.C. He's got a big personality. People love being around him, and he is going to get excited and show some emotion, and the fans appreciate that as Joplin misses the second foul shot.
The lead was 28 at one point. Epps, short. Battle for the basketball, and it's back to Marquette.
Now, obviously, when you're down this much, you can fight your way back, but you don't have very little margin to make any mistakes. Every missed shot, every time you get driven on the defensive end is putting you a step back.
And again, Marquette trying to match Creighton in the Big East standings with a victory tonight. That's thrown away by goal.
And that's a good job by the Hoyas. They sped Marquette up with the full court pressure, and Ben Gold with the turnover.
Just over 6 minutes to go. The question, will it be too little too late, or can Georgetown keep riding this? PV, offensive foul. Brian O'Connell whistles PV for it.
And I think they called PV for the hook. We'll take a look here. Yeah. It wasn't a full hook. It was kind of like half of a chicken wing with the elbow. And actually, that was a foul. Yeah. He extended the elbow into, I believe that was Ross's chest to give him some little bit of a separation.
Brian O'Connell, Mike Powell, Mike Roberts, our officiating crew. A 12th Georgetown turnover. Can Cam Jones convert? That's picked off by Peavy. 12th Marquette turnover. Peavy gives, gliding in. Curtis Williams hits. Timeout Ed Cooley. In DC, a little bit of belief. We'll take 1-2 for 30. Georgetown on an 11-1 run. Mr. Peavy says we're not done yet. Look what happens when you take care of the basketball.
Totally different team in this second half, and you just said it, John. Taking care of the ball. They got 31 points. They only had 5 field goals in the first half. They're 11-23, almost 50%. And when you take care of the ball, you give yourself more opportunities to shoot the ball, obviously, and you can control tempo a lot better. And you know, Ed Cooley has always been the kind of coach that keeps his guys locked in until the game, till the clock says 0-0-0. They're going to keep that full court pressure on because they caused a turnover in the last possession. Marquette's got to be strong with the ball, get the ball to the middle, and not allow themselves to get trapped.
For the last 22 minutes of game time, Marquette has led this game by at least 10 points. So it's been a while since Georgetown's even been this close in this game. 5.5 to play. Marquette trying to match Creighton at 13-5 in a tie for second in the Big East as we hit the final week of conference play. Jones, Cam Jones, can't hit. It's Mack.
If I'm Georgetown, I'm going right to number 5, Peavy. Get him in motion, and they're going to try to go into the post for him.
Curtis Williams, he's way off. An air ball saved by Burks, but in the hands of Jones. Stevie Mitchell, short, offensive rebound, David Joplin. Joplin's got a mismatch.
He sure does.
Bully ball.
Mouse in the house. Too much size, too much strength. Joplin has played a really good game tonight. That senior leadership, always good to have that on the road.
17 for Joplin with 7 boards. Epps is way off.
And Epps takes some bad shots, and sometimes he makes them, but tonight has been a tough shooting night for him. A contested three. He's taken 2 or 3 contested threes like that and missed badly.
2 of 14 from the floor. They got within 12. Now Joplin and Euro. Ben Gold. Rebound to Burks, but now for Georgetown, you're inside 4 minutes. Peavy spinning, weaving. And it's Ross who reels it in.
There's too many bodies, too many blue jerseys in the paint. Peavy trying to press it and trying to keep his team in it, but just Too much defensive rotation for the Golden Eagles.
Cam Jones all the way to the hole.
And he just wanted to get to the rim. He didn't want to settle. And he has been excellent all night with his playmaking.
13 points, matching a career high with 11 assists. And now 45 consecutive games in double figures. He joins Eric Dixon to lead the country. Jones up ahead to Mitchell. A new career high. 12 dimes for Cam Jones.
And Marquette, just so tough. The experience, the resilience. They get back to that defensive principles. They get in the passing lane. And they got Shaka's message and responded, scoring off their defense. Cam Jones has been good as ever, and Stevie Mitchell with the finish.
Now we can't wait for Big Ten Big East tournament coverage on Peacock. We'll get rolling from the Garden Wednesday, March the 12th. Here's what the bracket would look like as of right now. And the first 5 games of the Big East tournament will be on Peacock. Those 3 first-round games, you see, Villanova Wildcats right now would have to play day 1. And in our first 2 quarterfinals of the Big East tournament, noon and 2:30, which for you, a guy working also on Wall Street in Manhattan, tell me what it's like Thursday, the daytime session of the Big East tournament.
Well, I mean, this is a new opportunity for the Johnnies, and to play on Thursday at 12 noon at the Garden and position yourself to play Friday night in the semis. The biggest difference now is the way the Garden is reacting to St. John's in the city. The city has kind of been captivated by this season, and you look at this bracket, the way it shapes up, you know, any team can win this. UConn can certainly get hot. Marquette is playing good basketball, but I would say right now, St. John's certainly is the hottest team in the league, and part of it is they're going to be playing in the Garden, which has become a huge advantage with the home court crowd.
It is like a holiday in Manhattan when you wake up that Thursday and you walk over to the building, you know, around 9 a.m., 9:30, 10 o'clock, because we've been at the event for years now, and the whole city is just buzzing with madness.
Yeah, I mean, just look at Penn Station, okay? The train station down below the Garden, and all you see is a sea of red. And this is different. I mean, hasn't happened in 30, 40 years. And it's really a sight to see. A lot of bandwagon St. John's fans, which is cool too. But the lifers, the diehard St. John's fan base have been through the ups and downs, and now they get a chance to experience this kind of season, and hopefully it can keep going. We'll see.
That UConn Xavier game at 2:30, which is what we have projected right now, that would be quite the battle with those two teams splitting in the regular season in 2 dramatic games, I might add, as Mitchell travels. We've hit the final 2 minutes here. Still a lot to get sorted out. We could work through all the tiebreaker scenarios and whatnot, but I mean, you have to start with second place. Marquette here is about to go to 13-5.
Yeah.
They're matched up with Creighton.
Yeah, that's a matchup. Big time matchup.
Absolutely. And those teams splitting their regular season series, so then it goes into, okay, what'd you do against other teams? So still a lot to be sorted out as Jones heads to the hardwood. It'll be a jump ball. But we hit the final 94 seconds here, and I know for you, in the midst of everything Marquette's done, there's an unsung hero from Reading, PA that you want to give shine to.
Well, that's Stevie Mitchell. He's number 33 tonight, but he's normally number 4. This is a 4-year senior guard who I met when he first came on campus. Shaka Smart introduced me to him and said, this young man is going places. He's much more than a basketball player. He's a prototype student athlete, and he's the kind of young man who just epitomizes leadership, selflessness, and hard work, and he has proven that in the last 4 years. And I asked him earlier today, what does Stevie Mitchell mean to him? And he said that he is Well, he said he's the great play right there. He said he's the highest level player he's ever coached. Ever coached. Highest level player he's ever coached. And he's not just talking about on the court. He's talking about what he brings as a leader, his presence as a young man, and he said he's the kind of young man that could end up running a multi-billion-dollar company. You know, he can lead in his decision-making, his communication, his hard work. He's a prototype, Marquette player. Does all the little things, and just a really, really favorite player of Shaka Smart and how he epitomizes leadership.
Chants of "We Are Marquette" around the building. What this man has built with this win, he's about to go to 44-14 in his last 58 Big East regular season games. 44 wins to 14 losses.
Unbelievable. I mean, he is consistently excellent, and he never changes his approach. He doesn't think he knows everything either. He's one of those coaches that learns from his players, wants their feedback, wants their input. And the way he's kept this core group together and continues to win at this level is super impressive. And I think they have a run in them, John.
You do?
Here in March, I do. The way Cam Jones has played, Stevie Mitchell.
Well, they have a big one Wednesday night.
It's huge.
In stores. I mean, that is huge for positioning.
It's a lot at stake.
Well, because if UConn and Marquette, if UConn were to win, they would have the tie break because they'd have the season sweep over the Golden Eagles if those two teams were evened up.
Right, a lot at stake. You're playing for seeding. And a couple more games to see how this bracket for the Big East tournament on Peacock, the first 5 games. Excited about that. That's going to be awesome.
It really will be. Georgetown got within 12. That's a banked-in 3 from already. Marquette led by as many as 28 in this game. David Joplin with 17 and 9. Cam Jones with a career high 13 assists with 13 points. Marquette opens March in dominant fashion.
And they want to be playing their best ball in March. They certainly are showing signs of it. Shaka Smart and the Golden Eagles with a nice solid road win to get ready for their next step closer to the Big East tournament.
It snaps a 3-game road skid for the Golden Eagles, and now they're matched with Creighton in second place, and a huge game at UConn on Wednesday night. Georgetown now at 7-11 in the league. They host Villanova Tuesday night right here on Peacock.
Just buckle up, because we are in store for a big 2 weeks of Big East hoops coming down in March.
Marquette rolls to a commanding win. By the way, Jordan Cornette has told us that he's going to take some of your paycheck for the opening of the second half.
No shot.
Let's send it back to the studio.
Make a run there in the second half.
All right, let's go back there now and talk to the winning head coach, Shaka Smart. Shaka, congratulations on the win. Ahmed Fareed, Jordan Cornette, Matt McCall with you. You're 29 games into the season now. That's win number 22 for you. What do you hope that most people are realizing and recognizing about this Marquette team this year?
I mean, honestly, we're more focused on what we're realizing. And I think for our team, for us to be our best, and we realized it again tonight, because it was a couple games in one, we have to be the aggressors. We've got to make sure that we leave no doubt in terms of the way we're playing. I thought Georgetown did a heck of a job kind of turning the tables, but then our starting group showed really good character.
Coach, that starting group set the tone, especially with Micah Peavy, who's been electric for this Georgetown group in the last 6 games. Averaging 24 points per game. Completely took him out of that first half. Was that a lion's share of the game plan coming into this one and how you defended him and made him a non-factor in the first 20?
Yes. Well, Peavy, Mack, and Epps, we told our guys we have to make them inefficient. At halftime, they were 2 for 18, which, probably had something to do with us, and then it probably just wasn't their best half. But I thought our guys had really good intentionality to try to take away the shots we don't want them to take. And then lo and behold, they get those shots in the second half and they score a lot more points.
Coach Matt McCall, congrats on the win. Cam Jones, 13 assists. We talk so much about him as a scorer, but touch on his unselfishness and willingness to set up his teammates today.
Yeah, Matt, he was terrific distributing, especially in the first half. You know, their style in the first half, their plan was to try to keep Peavy on him and not switch. But our guys did a good job freeing him with a lot of pick and rolls. And then when Cam got downhill, he made the right pass every time.
Coach, we're here on March 1. This is when the madness really starts. It becomes the second season. The guys start to feel a little bit more to them. But as a coach, your messaging, how does it shift for the home stretch? And you know what it takes to go really far into this month and into the next one.
Well, you guys said it. I mean, we've got 29 games under our belt. That's a heck of a lot of experience. And our older guys have a lot of experience in March. So we have to draw on that experience, understand that these are long, long games. And I think for us to be our best, we need contributions from everyone. We do not have to be perfect, but we need everyone to contribute.
No, it wasn't easy, but you guys made it look easy again here tonight. 22 wins, 29 games. Shaka Smart, congrats on the win. Thanks for the time here today.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, guys.
He does make it look easy, right? Cool, calm, collected.